how's it going, guys? So, I'm back with another Raw review, and, I'm feeling good about these Raw reviews, having some fun. Had really disastrous computer problems, which led to me having to purchase an entirely new computer due to a fried motherboard. There was all fried chips on that, so I explained that in my Dynamite review, which if everything goes correctly, I should have that review posted the same day as this one. So you might have already watched the Dynamite one. You might be watching this one first. But if you're interested in hearing my views on Sting being in AEW and his appearance on Dynamite last week, even though there was just a Dynamite yesterday, I figured I'm not going to skip it. I do plan on reviewing the Dynamite this week with the interview with Sting, which I've already watched. I haven't watched the rest of the show, but I'll get around to doing that. As far as SmackDown, I did say in the Dynamite review that I put out that I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm going to be reviewing SmackDown because SmackDown is tomorrow. I think I'll just do that. It's not like last week's show was that important where I got to talk about it. We'll see. We'll see how I feel after doing this one, okay? So anyway, let's get to the show. We start things off with Orton in the ring. Bray Wyatt appears on screen. Apparently, Alexa Bliss is doing a Punky Brewster reboot show. Which came as a surprise to me. Okay, so, all for that. I mean, let Alexa Bliss be successful in other endeavors. She's a talented girl. She doesn't need to be in this garbage, especially after the, I will say this about the Raw that I did not review last week. That shit made no sense with, all of a sudden, Orton was just holding Alexa Bliss. I thought that, the video I was watching was edited. The Fiend came out, and she was already in Orton's arms. I was like, did he pick her up? Did she jump in his arms? It was never explained. You had the Fiend going, "Arr!" He just had, a panic attack. And I did not think too highly of that segment, to say the very least. With that said, this was an okay segment. I really feel like we're going around in circles with the Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse part of the character. I get it, that's sort of the thing, but it's not branching out. It's just, this is the bright and smiley Wyatt. He says a few questionable things, and then it's on to transforming into the Fiend again. This is the problem. No one ever grows. Nothing ever. I've said this for years here on this channel. Review after review. Rant after rant. I've said it time and time again. The characters do not grow. And I have to come back to it again. I was watching some, just stuff from 97. And you see characters growing from week to week. You could see as they were growing into the full-fledged Attitude Era in 1998. These characters progressed. They grew. They had a sense of being. They had a sense of purpose. You really felt like you were experiencing characters that they had a reason to be on the show. And it was a very exciting time to watch WWE. But you don't get that anymore. Now you just kind of get repeats and little tweaks from week to week. They drag this shit out as long as they possibly can. And that's exactly what I'm getting from this. Is Bray good? Yes, he is. Are these segments fun to watch? Well, kinda. I'm not exactly hysterically laughing. I kind of like the game show motif. But, is anyone seriously, entranced in this? Having the time of their lives? Saying, this is... some people do say that. They say this is pure gold. It's silver, it's copper, but it's certainly not gold, folks. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm not sitting here on the edge of my seat from week to week. Oh, what's Wyatt going to do next in the Firefly Funhouse? It truly is. It's kind of he's kind of the demented Pee Wee Herman, Steve from Blue's Clues type of deal, and I get that, but you can't keep stretching it out from week to week. I'm sorry. I know people are just fine and well with that, but that's complacency. It really is. You're just fine and well with watching the same thing from week to week. This is only okay in wrestling, I feel. Like, people are just fine. They're just they're like the dog in the meme in the fiery apartment. They're just sitting there. This is fine. Meanwhile, the product is just a disaster. But when you get a tasty little morsel, everyone's just all fine and well with it. And I don't want to be that kind of fan that's just okay with everything going on. That's why this show is barely worth watching. If you've seen one show, you've seen them all pretty much. You've seen one Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse segment, you've seen them all. They're just tiny differences. Bray has ideas, but he's not allowed to fully flesh them out on screen. And, it's, once again, it goes back to creative. So, it was an okay segment for what it was. Orton challenges not The Fiend, but Bray Wyatt to a match tonight, so we're going to have that match. Asuka defeated Shayna Baszler, and, okay, this was the thing. I watched last week's show, and I didn't get to review it. Just as I was about to review it, that's when my computer went kaputski. So we'll just recap a little bit of what was from last week. So you're kind of getting a little bit of a combined review, but not kind of, because we're mostly focusing on the show from this Monday. But, you had Lana pinning Shayna Baszler last week, and now you get Asuka pinning Shayna Baszler this week, and I was thinking to myself, do you remember a little something that took place earlier in the year? Say, I don't know, Elimination Chamber. Do you remember that Shayna Baszler beat all the entrants in the Elimination Chamber that no one else had done in, like, the whole history of the Chamber? Like, the only one who got close to doing something that, like, was Goldberg, I believe. So it's historic. They pretty much buried their entire women's roster. But hell, if it meant putting over Baszler, then they really thought that this chick was made of money. It's just, first of all, she's got no personality. There's really nothing likable about her. I get it, she's former MMA, but Ronda Rousey was at least likable. She came across, when they did allow her to be a badass, really fine and well. Like, I don't really understand why the Marks, and the Smarks had such a hard-on for Baszler, and they had so much against Rousey. Like, I don't get it. What was the thing? Because Rousey wouldn't conform to the wrestling bubble? Was that the problem that people had with her? But Baszler is okay. Like, I'm saying this girl's obviously far less attractive. She's okay in the ring. I don't really see anything that's that astounding. Like, people were really singing her praises in NXT. Baszler. And, like, she's okay, and her promo skills are terrible, to say the least. I mean, it's all just pretty damn bad coming from Baszler. But you put all that stock into her earlier in the year. And now she's getting pinned by Lana, pinned by Asuka, like she's nobody. And she's a tag team wrestler now. This is the crazy thing. And, we got to address this even later on in the show when we get to talking about Kofi Kingston again. Here we are again. These girls win the singles title. Why are they being confined to tag teams once more? Baszler, if Baszler could take on an entire chamber's worth of wrestlers, why is she having so many problems with Asuka, who she beat in the chamber, plus 4 other people? Does she even need Nia Jax out there with her? But here they are in a tag team. I'm just saying, like, there's so many. You always can say, like, oh, how the mighty have fallen, but hell, are they really mighty to begin with? They get a few months in the spotlight, and then it's like they're thrown down the garbage dump. This is how it's been for years. This is how it's been for years in this company. And don't start saying, oh, AEW. What has AEW done for anybody, really? Let's take an example of someone from WWE to AEW. Jack Hager, right? Jack Swagger. Remember, they gave him the world title. They had him cash in on Jericho. Had him hold the title for a few months. And then he was pretty much forgotten. They gave him a few secondary belts, gave him the U.S. title, and then sent him on his way pretty much. He was caught in flux for years. Didn't do anything with them. There was a brief thing where they gave him a Mania title match, but that was squandered. And then you turn your eyes to AEW, where he's just basically a bodyguard. They've had him wrestle in some matches. But, like, it's just a great example. Like, after Swagger lost that title, they wasted no time just bringing that guy down. They knocked his world title reign as many times as they could. They had Michael Cole pretty much bury him when they had him training him for the Mania match. So, it's without fail. Ziggler winning the title, you name it. Countless examples all over the place the past decade plus of wrestlers being at the top and then, just floundering completely into obscurity. That's the name of the game pretty much. So we're going to move on here. We've got Ricochet and Dana Brooke talking strategy because there's some strategy to be discussed. Like, very lame. And they're doing like this, like, oh, we're having a real serious conversation here. Like, such terrible acting. Dana's hot as hell, but, her acting is not the best. It's actually pretty bad. It's like very bad. Very bad. So Matt Riddle comes over, and I will say this about Matt Riddle. I don't like the guy, but he's doing this character. And I'm actually like laughing a little bit because it's so damn goofy. But you know what? I'm going to say that about it. At least it's a character. At least it's actually getting a giggle out of me. Like, I'm actually laughing more at Matt Riddle than I'm laughing at Bray Wyatt. So with that said, he's doing something right. Matt does it quite well. He's doing the Bill and Ted. He's doing the Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So the guy, he's got it down pat. He's doing the character that's assigned to him. He's doing it better than any. I will say this. I think that I enjoy Matt Riddle's antics more. This is like, it could be so much better. It's just having him say the most retarded things known to man, or not known to man for that matter. But the other promos are just so lame. Like, even what's coming out of Drew McIntyre, we'll get to that in a moment, okay? Anyway, he's offering him bro nuts. The female interviewer, who I can't even keep track of these people. Charlie, I know, but like these other random girls that they get. Can I ask a question? Like, I understand that they want to have girls back there, and that's all fine and well, but what happened to male interviewers? Are they allowed to get a job? Like, whatever happened to the coach, Cole Backstage, Mark Lloyd, and, backstage interviewers? There used to be men doing it. Like, can we get a mix? I'm just saying, like, does it always have to be like a random chick every week? And they can't even hold on to them. One of them, like Dasha Fuentes, right, or calling her something else, she's already over in AEW. They, like, fly through them like they're nothing. The only one they decided to keep was Charlie. Can, like, we just get a good interviewer that has a bit of, like, charisma, too? You know what I'm saying? Like, Coach would do it. At least there was a bit of facial, expressions going on there, and Coach was good. But we got to just keep hiring randos with no rhyme or reason that they go through them every month, literally. And, they're talking about strategy and everything. And Dana, was doing this promo with the bad acting and everything. And, it was just such a juxtaposition there of like Matt Riddle's someone who, he's doing a character and he's doing it quite well versus this bland, like Ricochet, just bland as hell. Like, you could just tell that's an empty vessel right there. There's no personality to be had there. So we move on to the match, and we've got Ricochet and Dana defeating Reckoning and Ali, who's now regained his first name. So, I was watching last week, and you had Reckoning get beat by Dana. But you had Slapjack beating Ricochet. So, like, what do I think of this faction? What do I think of these misfits? These guys right here, Retribution. I was buying time there. I couldn't even remember their name. So yeah, so Retribution, okay, first of all, where were the two bodyguards? Like, the two bigger guys, they're not there. I don't know. And is that Mia Yim, right? I think that's, I don't know. I don't watch NXT, so, don't shoot me here. Oh, that's not Mia Yim, whoever it is. They can't even, obviously this was meant to be like a hostile takeover group, and they're just like a bunch of nobodies. It's like, seriously, like, if you're going to have Ali come in there and lead his own group, they can't have these guys losing all the time. And he's getting frustrated. He said, I pulled you up from, obscurity. And, he's yelling at Slapjack and everything. And I'm kind of like, okay. Anyway. So, Ali, they gave him his first name back. But now it's suddenly not Mustafa. It's Mustafa. Like, huh? Like, what? Like, they changed the pronunciation of his name. It's the same name. It's spelt the same way, but the pronunciation is different. Does anyone think that's kind of weird? I haven't seen anyone say anything about it. To me, it was very odd. Like, you're going to just, like, give him his name back, but just change the way it's pronounced. I've never heard anyone Mustafa. Like, okay, whatever. So, they beat them, and, like, does anyone care about this? Like, I saw everybody bashing Retribution, and, like, this is the thing, why? It's just because I heard they were bashing the names, like, T-Bar and all that. Like, yeah, okay, like, those names are not the best. But, like, the main problem here is you're not given a reason to care about these guys. Oh, they're a faction. It's a reason to get them on TV, in a group. Okay, that's good for them, but what does it do for the viewer? And Ali is not, is he in any other higher position than when he was tag teaming with Chad Gable? I don't think so. I would say he's kind of at the same level, if not lower. At least when he was at least when he was with Chad Gable, he was on a team that was picked out by Hulk Hogan. Remember that? At least you had that going on for it. At least there was that. And then you have Miz TV, and they're making fun of Drew McIntyre and Sheamus's accents. AJ is on the show. And they're just like, they're basically going through the paces. This is like another thing, like Miz TV. Week after week, it's just like, there's no substance to it. It's like a bunch of jokes and everything. And, Miz is good. He does what he has to do on the mic, and it comes across like okay. But, like, this is just like sophomoric stuff, like doing the accents and everything. Like, yeah, okay, we get it. They have accents. That's all fine and well and dandy. But, like, there's no story here. It's just making fun of people, going absolutely nowhere. Like, seriously, like, where is this going? Like we're just sitting around talking. There's no real story here. Like seriously, like what is the story? What is being told here? Yeah, okay, Miz has the briefcase. He could cash in at any moment on Drew. And he's counting on AJ to soften him up at TLC. But they're like all this other stuff. Like, what is it? Yeah, it's like, okay, it's jokes, it's entertainment. I guess it's supposed to be entertaining. But you know what it really is? It's buying time. You know, their main goal is to get the TLC and do whatever they're going to do over there. I don't think Miz is going to end up cashing in. He'll probably, like, do something and then, like, you know, he'll try to run in and do it, but it'll kind of be like how it was last week on Raw. You know, he's almost about to cash in, but then, like, Drew will hit him with the Claymore, knock him out of the ring at the last second, and he didn't officially cash in, so it doesn't count. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to go around in circles until at random they go, oh, well, here's the date we're going to do it, and then that's it. Like, you know, like what is the point? What is the point of the proceedings? It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything for anyone. If anything, it weakens the characters because they just look stupid sitting out there with just these dumb jokes. Like, just random jokes constantly. You know, and then you've got Drew making the joke about Morrison being the Miz's bitch boy and stuff like, you know, this is the thing what I was saying about Matt Riddle. Like, I feel like what they're doing with Drew is they're making him really into like a try-hard, which is territory that you never want to get into because that was cringy Lynch. Now, he's not that bad, don't get me wrong. Drew's got some ability there on the mic, but it's the wrong character. He's just trying to be this overly cool guy who always says the right thing. And he's like doing jokes and stuff. Like, this was the problem with like John Cena a few years ago. Like, a good talker. It's not good as Cena. Cena is really good. But the thing is, you know, he always would say the wrong thing. Like they would give him like the worst possible script. And that's what's going on here. And, you know, you could only work with what you're given. I get it when you're confined to a script. But, man, like, this is just, he comes across just as lame and jokey and just, like, you can't take him seriously. It was like Cena, like, you know, this guy's good talent, you know, and everything. Like, but what comes out of his mouth is just ridiculous. It really is. You know, we've never really retreaded into the, you know, that the sexy Scottishman territory. Oof. Let's hope we never get there again. I don't know, when I wasn't watching, there was probably some other cringy lines that flew under the radar from me. But, you know, I've seen some clips here and there, and it hasn't been anything too good. You know, they're not growing McIntyre. Like I said, there's no progress here. They're not going anywhere with McIntyre. It's spinning the wheels constantly. Stuck in the snow, stuck in the mud, just not going anywhere with this guy. You know, it erupts in a brawl and, like, okay, you know, it's like, let's move on. It's the same thing, basically, as last week. There's no difference here. Kofi Kingston defeats Shelton. Benjamin. Like, why is Benjamin even here? Like, seriously, like, he gets a payday. I get the old argument and everything. But it's seriously not, like, good enough for me anymore. Like, what is the point of keeping this guy around? They released a bunch of guys, right? You know, in, like, the late spring. Like, so why are they holding on to Shelton? Like, this guy, during the Ruthless Aggression era, the guy was on fire. You know, he always had problems with not having a personality, but he was fun to watch. And, you know, like I said, there's this weird thing like physical charisma. He just had a good look to him and everything, and he did what he had to do. He was exciting to watch. They booked him like decently, you know, in the feud with Evolution, the match he had with Shawn Michaels and everything. And like, the thing is, now if it's supposed to be all about in-ring work, you know, or that's a big part of it, like, are we kind of forgetting like all the amazing matches that Shelton had? Like, he's credited with having like one of the best Raw matches of all time with Shawn Michaels in the Gold Rush tournament, right? Like, did we forget about that? Like, no, I don't think so, because I see they posted it on YouTube like a few months back. So why are things different now? Why is Shelton part of a faction? And if he's part of a faction, why is he still losing? Obviously, this is not working for him. I don't think MVP is really that good of a manager for him, because he's still losing. And then after he loses to Kofi, he also lost in the goofiest way possible. This guy's supposed to be a veteran. And he gets in the ring, and the minute he gets in the ring, he sees Kofi turning around and clonks him with the kick. You know, he hits the Trouble in Paradise out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. If he was a veteran, like, wouldn't he duck or like just like stares at it? I get it, fake and all, you know, but I mean, like, can we at least be a little bit believable here? He's supposed to be a veteran. He gets in the ring and just he walks into a kick like a total genius. Like, and then you've got what's his name here, Cedric Alexander. Then he challenges Kofi to a match, and he wins. Like, at least these matches are quick, they're fast. Like, they've been getting better at that, I've noticed. Like, these matches are quicker, which is their problem. You know, when they announced a few years ago, we're gonna have longer matches, like, you know, and that pleased the Smarks to some extent. Which oh, God forbid we don't please the Smarks. Well, anyway, you have Cedric beating Kofi. Okay, I guess you could say that he weakened him in that short match, but like, they obviously they value Cedric Alexander more than Shelton Benjamin. And when Cedric got on the mic, like, you gotta believe that, is anyone like, okay, well, they give Bayley a mic on a weekly basis, so that they obviously like have a totally different vision for what it is to cut a good promo and who sounds good on a mic. So, you know, but he sounded extremely weak. Like, this is not a tough guy in something called the Hurt Business. You know, he sounds like someone who would get hurt by the Hurt Business, not someone who's in it. Like, honestly, like, this guy sounded even weaker than Ricochet, to tell you the truth. I'm being honest there. Like, do not hand this guy a mic repeatedly. They keep doing it, and he can't talk. Why do they keep handing people microphones when they can't talk? You know, why would you want to expose their weaknesses more? Like, okay, I get it, like, the mentality of, like, you know, throwing someone in the deep end and just, you know, let sink or swim, but he sank a lot more than he swam, okay? Like, I think the proof is already there. Like, you know, after you have, like, 100 strikeouts, you know, are they going to tell you to keep going up to bat? Like, come on. Miz, Morrison, and AJ defeated Sheamus and Drew McIntyre in a 3-on-2 handicap match. Sheamus accidentally kicks Drew. AJ gets the pin. You know, like, this whole, like, ensemble, I'm just, like, the Miz and Morrison thing, like, I'm just sick of seeing these tag team matches. It's all the same thing. Like, for God's sakes, do something with the Miz. Like, you know, maybe I'll have him cash in successfully on Drew eventually, or maybe it will happen at TLC. Who the hell knows? But, like, can we just, like, break Morrison and Miz up? Have them go their separate ways already. You know, do something different with AJ already. Like, a talented guy, but, like, just I'm just sick of seeing all of this already. Like, just do something with these guys. Like, have them progress to something with some type of goal in mind. Give them some type of a story. You know. Anyway, backstage, we get a really tremendously goofy segment. A really goofy segment where, you know, like, Asuka proved that she's 10 times better than Sheeta. with the broken English promos, because at least she's funny, at least she's entertaining. She didn't just come off as someone who's just not good with English, that just kind of makes a fool out of herself in a promo. Asuka's lovable, and to a certain extent, I suppose. Let's not get carried away here. But she's like doing this little engine that could routine where she's telling a 30-something-year-old woman to keep repeating, I can do it, I can do it. She's like, keeps saying it even after Asuka walked away. Like these are adults. And it's like they're acting out like a preschool play. Like, seriously. Like just, like purposely overacting. Like, I saw Lana act, and she did not that she's a great actor or anything, but she did a much better job with the Rusev and, like, Lashley stuff. Here she just, like, why are they making her, like, just so meek and pathetic? Like, it's just, like, what are they doing with this girl? Like, she should be confident. Like, this is a good-looking, attractive girl. And I get it, we're punishing her, because her husband decided to go to AEW. She's caught between a rock and a hard place. But, like, why do these stupid things have to play out on screen? Like, if you're ribbing her on purpose and you're just, like, torturing her on screen, like, I've said this time and time again. They did this with Baron Corbin. They did it with countless others. They punish these people, like, on screen. And it's the craziest thing. They've always done this stuff in wrestling for years. It's just, like, getting back at people. But, it happens way too often. And we're left there sitting, watching, like I said, like a 30-year-old woman just, I can do it. She turns around, and Nia Jax is there, and Nia Jax, like, shook her head for, like, a total minute. Like, just repeatedly back and forth, like she was some type of, runaway bobblehead or something. Like, I'm just saying, like, who is writing this? Like, I'm telling you, like modern day Nickelodeon honestly puts out more mature content. I mean, honestly, like, really seriously, and they do that stuff with, like, a Y7, a TVG rating. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a joke anymore. Like, this, I don't get it. Like, sometimes they do edgy stuff, and then other times they go in this direction. And it's like, who is this going to appeal to? Not too many people. Then we go backstage, and it's Sheamus and Drew. Sheamus cut a promo. He knew this was going to lead to a fight because he kicked Drew by accident. Even though they're friends, and it was an accident, they're still going to fight each other no matter what, which, okay, like, wherever the case may be there. Like, that doesn't even really make any sense. He did it by accident. He clearly sees it. Okay, and so then they're face to face. Then they go to a commercial. I watched it online, so it looked like a cut, and it ended up there was a commercial there. They come back from commercial and they're brawling. So, like, just like, if you didn't watch the show, picture this: like, two guys are face to face. Then they go backstage and they come back and they're already in mid fight. Like, huh? Like, what? Like, I've never seen that before. That was a first. I could be wrong. There's been a lot of backstage brawls, but I never recall a moment when you had two guys face to face. They go to a commercial, and then the fight breaks out. Like, isn't that kind of the whole part of the story there? Like, you're supposed to see, like, how it broke out. Like what happened? What was said during that period of time? They just stared at each other for, like, another moment or so. Like, okay. And then Pat Buck comes up. I forget who this guy is. Anyway, I thought it was kind of funny how they slammed him through the table, like, and that kind of, like, worked out their aggression instead. Right? I don't know really where they go from here. Like, to me, this makes more sense that they would do Sheamus and McIntyre. Like honestly, don't you guys kind of get that? Like, doesn't it look like they're building more for Sheamus and Drew than they are for Drew and AJ? Like, AJ's a non-factor. Like, he didn't even get involved here or anything. You know, he just kind of... okay, maybe they're going to do it at the Royal Rumble. I could see that, Drew and Sheamus. Probably be an interesting match, but... I mean, you're building it here. Like, what? So, what is the point of even doing the AJ match? You're obviously there's no connection here. Obviously, the story you want to tell is Sheamus and Drew, but you're doing a really bad job of it. Then we've got Matt Riddle pestering Jeff Hardy in the back. He says, "Why don't we be the Hardy Bros?" He offers them more donuts and. You know, okay, so he's just kind of like backstage entertainment for the night. We go out to the ring, and it's Lashley defeating Jeff Hardy. He gets him in the full Nelson. And, you know, this was actually a pretty decent match from what I saw. I was like, okay, you know, they're finally realizing there's some worth in Lashley. You know, better late than never, I guess, but I think it is kind of late, don't you think? Like, okay, yeah, he's the U.S. champion and everything. They're staying more consistent with him. But after beating this guy down, with Finn Balor beating him and just, you know, like the wedding storyline, there's all this stuff that just kept going on and on that wasn't bringing Lashley to any new heights. And then, like, you know, who did he lose to at Mania again? Wasn't it? I can't even remember who he lost to. But it was like another insignificant guy. You know, like, here we are again, like, you know, with Lashley, like, with the reboot once again. And they'll stay with them a little bit, but feel like there's going to be an eventual drop-off there. And I really get the feeling that they have no fucking idea what they want to do with Jeff Hardy. This guy's here. He's a legend. He should have been a world champion by now. Like, I don't understand why we wasted so much time with Seth Rollins and all these other people. You know, when we could have had, like, a Jeff Hardy run with the title. Like, I mean, honestly, can we get that already out of him? You know what I mean? Like, you only really had Jeff Hardy, like, holding the belt for a few months in 2009 before he left the company. Like, I think it's time to get back to that point again. Like, you know, what is this going after the U.S. belt, going after the Intercontinental title? I've said this for so long. Why are we wasting time with these guys? You know, and, and I flew past the Kofi stuff, and I didn't even mention what I wanted to say. So, but this is a good time as any. Didn't Kofi Kingston... You know, just last year, wasn't it? Last year, he was the world champion and he's in a tag team. It's the same thing. You could apply the same thing with Jeff Hardy. He's not in a tag team. But, like, these guys kind of already have a decorated history already. You're going backwards with them. You're wasting your time. You're spinning your wheels with them. They're not... Like, I get it. Like, these guys have done all there is to do. But we didn't really get that far into a Jeff Hardy, like, world title main event picture. You know, Jeff already had left for Impact. But by the point he started even getting anywhere into it with being like a world champion. So I think it's about time we come back to that scenario. I mean, honestly, like, Jeff Hardy's popular. He's charismatic. At this point, you know, his promo skills have improved. But, you know, damn, you know, he's better than a lot of other people, better than Ricochet. So, I don't know why we don't do more with this guy. You know, anyway, main event, Orton and Bray have their match. And, you know, it's a pretty decent match and everything. Orton hits the RKO, and the lights go out, and... It turns out that when he looks down, he's actually pinning the Fiend, which that was a pretty good visual. And obviously this was taped. This might be a live show, but, like, there's no way that he could change his pants, pull off the sweater and everything when there was split second there. You know, this is a live show, but obviously they could tape things and air it live. You know what I mean? So that kind of was obvious there. You know, I'm sure the opening segment might have been live. It could have been taped. I really don't know. But this definitely had to be a tape segment, because it would have been physically impossible for Bray to change all his clothes that fast. It was an impressive visual, though, for what it was. You know, and using that to their advantage, that they have no live audience, so they could pull that off quite easily, I believe. So, yeah, like, this show, guys, there was nothing really here to like. Like, you know, Jeff and Lashley was okay. Bray and Orton was entertained, but, like, everything else, just, oh, my God. I really have to ask, like, really, like, what has improved on this show over the past year? Is there anything, really, that we could really point to and say is superior? Like, the most I see is Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and the Tribal Chief thing. But even that is, like, starting to go around in circles and not really going anywhere fast. We'll see what happens, guys. Anyway, I'll see you for the SmackDown review or the Dynamite review. Well, probably the Dynamite review first, unless I decide to do another video. I also got a Mandalorian review planned. So, yeah, check all those videos out when I put them out, which will be very soon. And guys, thank you all for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And guys, I will see you next time.